Hey everybody, I'm Diane Sawyer with the Reedsville Chamber of Commerce. We are very excited today to bring you another Topics at 12. This week's presentation is by Morgan Moore with First Citizens Bank. How to recognize and combat fraud during COVID-19. So we're going to be discussing that. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Susan Reagan with the Small Business Center, and also Team Reedsville and the Rockingham County Small Business Development Office. So without further ado, we're going to turn it over for our tech tip. So Roy Sawyers with Rockingham Update. Take it away for the tech tip.
Thank you, Diane. Today's Topics at 12 tech tip is brought to you by lifehack.org, and it is 5 small business tech tips to boost your new venture. Number 1, store your data in the cloud to reduce IT overhead. When you're starting out and you want to keep costs low, this is going to be very beneficial. It's a great way to save money on IT costs by using cloud storage instead of a physical server at your location. Number 2, research the best business broadband deal for your area. This is something that we should do not only for a new venture, but even as we've been established for years. Always check for that best broadband deal. Speed is going to be your best friend while you're working online. Number 3, be realistic about your social media presence. Now, I'm real big on social media. Diane will tell you this. But I will tell you that while there are many platforms out there, it's always best to concentrate on just 1 or 2 of those platforms and make sure that you get your strategy correct for those 1 or 2 before branching out to 3, 4, and 5. And you want to be consistent with those postings. You want your followers to know that you're going to be there with updated information that they can turn to when needed. Number 4, plan your website's purpose and structure. To make the most of your website, think of this as an extension of your brick and mortar store. This is your virtual presence. So you want to keep the same voice, the same tone, the same message that you would have inside your business on your website. You want your virtual customers to feel as if they've just come from your store. It's all the same tone, same message. And 5, make sure your website is mobile friendly. We're in a mobile world now. We have tablets, iPhones, Android phones, smart TVs, and all of this needs to be scalable with your website. So they will automatically adjust to whatever device that you're using. The site itself will resize itself into that frame so they're not trying to scroll all around the screens and lose their position or their links that they were looking for. It's just the smart thing to do. If you're unsure about what I mean about mobile friendly, there are numerous web designers out there that can help you, and they will specify what type of template you need for your site. Diane, these were the tech tips for today.
Thank you so much, Roy, and you are a guru when it comes to social media. So thank you for sharing some expertise. We appreciate you. All right, without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Morgan for our fraud webinar. So Morgan, take it away.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you guys for allowing me to come in and share this information today. I wouldn't be able to do this job if it weren't for my partner, Joel Dangerfield. I've invited him to join and talk because he is our subject matter expert with First Citizens on these fraud products. I'm going to introduce Joel now. Let me unmute him very quickly. And we'll get started. Again, my name is Morgan Moore. You can reach me at the contact information that's listed on the screen here. And Joel, take it away.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate you guys inviting us here today. So definitely wanted to take a couple of minutes here and talk about our recognizing and combating fraud. Definitely a big topic of concern, especially this year. And a lot of different various topics here to mention. And kind of first thing is something that a lot of our businesses might not be recognizing, but that is cyber attackers. So, and specifically talking about imposter fraud. So imposter fraud is in which a criminal poses as an executive, a vendor, or other trusted entity to steal company funds. It is a very fast-growing threat to businesses. Last year, one form of imposter fraud, which is business email compromise, affected 75% of businesses surveyed by the Association for Financial Professionals. In total, firms across the world have been hit with more than $26 billion in costs from business email compromise schemes between 2016 to 2019, according to the FBI. And you can help protect your firm by learning how to recognize fraud attempts and taking steps to improve your security. And understanding some of the different types of imposter fraud schemes. So the first step is obviously preventing business email compromise, understanding what these different schemes are and recognizing them. So a C-level scheme is when a hacker poses as the company's CEO, CFO, or other executive and sends an email from a compromised account, usually to an employee in a finance department with an urgent request to wire funds. The money is then sent to a bank account under the hacker's control. 40% of business email compromise scams target CFOs, which is more than any other company role, according to security software provider Trend Micro. Vendor impersonation fraud. This is posing as a trusted vendor. A fraudster will send an invoice requesting payment. Sometimes the criminal will have infiltrated the email account of the employee of the company in order to study the pattern of payment request. The fake invoices will resemble legitimate ones, except for changes in the payment instructions, which allow payment from the company to go directly to the thief. Data theft. Unlike imposter fraud focused on wire transfers, this scam relies on gathering employee data by sending emails to the Human Resources Department requesting identifiable information of staff members. This data is then used to commit additional fraud attacks against the business. And infiltration research. Imposter fraud schemes like business email compromise typically require extensive research on the part of hackers. After compromising an employee's email account, they must analyze patterns of fund transfers and identify who handles payments and to which vendors. The more familiar they are with a company's business practices and routines, the more convincing the scheme. So preventing imposter fraud scams from harming your business. So implementing safe strong guards can help minimize your risk of falling victim. Consider these steps to help protect your company. Verify all requests. Train employees to follow up on any request for funds transfers or changes in payment information through a channel other than the one used to make the original request. If an employee receives an email, they should follow up with a phone call to a previously known number, not the number provided in the email, since it could be fraudulent. Warn employees to be particularly wary of urgent payment requests. Warn against oversharing. Encourage employees to exercise caution when sharing work-related or even personal information on social media and other websites. Hackers will often piece together information they find online to learn about employee roles and company happenings like business deals that might coincide with large payments. They can then use this data to make their outreach more convincing. Use account controls. Access management features offered by banks allow you to define how transactions proceed and give you additional layers of protection. For example, you might require one employee to initiate a funds transfer and another to approve it. You can also add one-time access codes for extra security and set up account alerts so that you're notified of unusual activity or when transactions need your approval. Protect your computers and networks. Malware is often a key component of business email compromise scams. So use anti-malware software from a reputable provider that automatically updates to block new threats. Be sure to follow other security best practices as well, such as having a firewall in place to filter traffic to and from your network. Review your insurance policy. Knowing what your insurance will cover should your business fall victim to fraud is a great way to prepare for an incident. Talk with your insurance agent to find out how and if your company will be protected. You may need to sign up for a specialized plan, as some policies won't cover fraud instances in which employees unknowingly transfer funds. And lastly, alert your bank immediately. Be sure to instantly notify your bank should you spot instances of potential fraud. Informing your bank provides an additional layer of protection and security, and it can help you recover from fraud quickly and effectively. Your banker can also help you explore steps to reduce your fraud risk. Protecting your company from payment fraud. 81% of financial professionals say their companies were victims of payment fraud in 2019, according to the Payments Fraud and Control Survey by the Association for Financial Professionals. Of this targeted group, 38% had losses of at least $25,000. Along with this direct financial hit, companies also faced hefty legal fees and administrative costs to sort out the aftermath. What can you do to protect your company? A key starting point is understanding the prevalent risks and how to respond so you can recover quickly. So the types of payment fraud, and thieves have devised creative ways to attack almost all types of transactions. Common schemes include checks. 74% of companies experienced at least one instance of check fraud in 2019, up 4 percentage points from 2018, the AFP study revealed. Common check fraud schemes include altered checks. This occurs when a check has already been issued, but data fields on the check are changed to reflect alternate fraudulent amounts and payee names. Counterfeit checks. Advances in software applications and printers have given fraudsters a way to create imitation checks if they have a company's bank account information. And forgeries, often involving stolen checks. Forgeries occur when there is an unauthorized signature from the payer or endorsement from the payee. We also have electronic payments, wire transfers, and automated clearinghouse or ACH transactions, both of which involve moving funds between bank accounts, are increasingly targeted, coming in at the second and fourth highest forms of fraud, according to the AFP report. In some cases, all that is needed to initiate the fraud is an organization's bank account information. A primary reason for the recent spike in electronic payment fraud is from wholesale hacking schemes known as imposter fraud, which target company employees who have access to sensitive and financial data. Another type of payment fraud is credit cards. 32% of companies reported 34% of companies reported at least one instance of corporate credit card fraud. Unauthorized users, which, whether an employee or outside individual, commit this type of fraud by using a corporate credit card to make unapproved purchases. Credit card fraud can occur when company cards are lost, stolen, or duplicated as counterfeit cards. Credit cards can also be obtained through account takeover, in which a fraudster gathers company financial data and contacts the bank to report a change of address and lost card. They are then sent a replacement card, giving them access to a company's finances. Merchant services. Merchant services fraud, or debit and credit card processing fraud, has decreased in recent years thanks to the adoption of EMV chip cards. However, since liability for this type of fraud now lies with businesses that have not yet implemented EMV acceptance technology, they are more prone to counterfeit card use. Fraudsters can create a counterfeit card simply by capturing card information embedded within the magnetic strip. How to protect your business. Preventative steps can go a long way towards sidestepping attacks. If you don't already use these best practices, be sure to implement them. Training your staff. Teach your employees to recognize the signs of payment fraud. For example, fraudulent checks may have a missing or poor quality watermark or microprint, which is a small line of print that is difficult to photocopy and can be read only when magnified. Credit card fraudsters may buy many expensive things and attempt multiple transactions even in a single visit. Offer guidance on how employees can report any fraudulent activity they notice. Using EMV terminals. Minimize the likelihood that counterfeit cards can be used at checkout by updating your system to support payments through an EMV system. If you don't have an EMV terminal already, think about upgrading. An EMV stands for EuroPay, MasterCard, and Visa, which is the three companies which created the technical standard for smart payment cards and the terminals that can accept them. Verify card not present transactions. Having a strong verification process is in place when customers pay by mail, phone, or online, known as card not present transactions. Always use address verification to confirm that the billing address they provide matches the address on file with their credit card provider. Also request a 3 or 4 digit code known as the card verification value, CVV, which helps to verify the buyer has physical possession of the card. Strengthen internal safeguards. Be sure that you have a dual approval process in place for payments in which one person initiates a transaction and another approves it. For large dollar check payments, require more than one signature. Also consider using a dedicated computer for banking transactions to limit access to sensitive financial information. Understand the rules for businesses. Businesses typically have shorter windows for disputing transactions than do consumers. For example, companies have 24 hours to alert their bank to an unauthorized ACH transaction once it has posted, compared with a 60-day time frame for consumer transactions. Reach out to your business banker and your merchant services provider to clarify how you should respond to suspect transactions. And what solutions are available to businesses? So reach out to your bank to discuss some of these solutions that are available, such as online banking account controls. Create and utilize multiple users of online banking profiles. Each individual user access can be created to show the specific accounts, features, and functionality that they need for their position with your business. Separation of duties from users that can initiate an ACH or wire transfer to those that can approve the ACH or wire. What employees have access to bill pay, the payroll account, managing payees and templates for ACH, wire transfers, bill pays, provides an additional layer of security that no one employee has full access to all accounts and funds. Utilizing dual control or workflow permissions reduces your risk. ACH Positive Pay. Protect your business accounts from electronic fraud using ACH Positive Pay. ACH Positive Pay helps by blocking and returning any unauthorized electronic transaction. It monitors accounts for potentially fraudulent transactions and blocks unauthorized transactions. Manage your cash flow by viewing and approving transactions before they post. Receive proactive notifications of suspicious activity. Typically, filter and block options are available to safeguard your account from your bank. Positive Pay. Stop fraudulent checks with a check monitoring service called Positive Pay. It examines each check and reports irregularities directly to you. This service is well suited for businesses with a moderate to high volume of check writing. Submit an electronic file each time you issue checks. Every check presented for payment is compared against the file you submit, and possible fraudulent check items are presented to you for decisioning that can be returned. Reverse Positive Pay. Detect and prevent check fraud on your business account as well with reverse positive pay. This service is well suited for businesses with a low volume of check activity. You simply review previous day check images. Return any checks paid from your account that appear fraudulent. Funds are returned to your checking account on the next business day. And finally, email or text alerts. Take advantage of any alerts that your bank offers that can securely and conveniently keep track of your account balances and possibly even card activity. Most alerts can be customized to notify the account holder when certain types of activities or transactions occur on the account. Activities such as an address or password change, account balances have fallen below a certain threshold, locked out of online banking, insufficient funds, payment approvals, or even payment due reminders as some examples.
Guarding your business against fraudulent activity is not easy. We have seen more and more fraudulent transactions happen now due to COVID-19, and that there aren't as many face-to-face transactions. We're encouraging our clients to do banking online. We're encouraging them to do curbside pickup and give your debit card to someone else. So we're seeing more and more fraudulent activity, not just for individuals, but for businesses. And the business impacts that that can have financially can put them in a place that they can't come back from, that there's no recovery. So being able to offer solutions to our small businesses, to all of our business partners that can help them prevent any of this from happening is something that's extremely important. Just knowing what these different features are, what these different services are, having conversations with your bank, just to really know what all is out there and what we can do to prevent fraud in the future. Questions?
Well, I would just like to say that was a lot of really great content, and I really do feel, as the person who's responsible for our organization, a lot of the things that you said, Joel, were spot on. You know, people don't want to think that things will happen, but the dual controls and having, you know, those checks and balances for the businesses and being able to have the ability to put the responsibility on more than one person. And what if something happens to somebody, you know, or there's a lot of fraudulent activity, to Morgan, to your point with COVID, not related to bank activity, but it was just something that happened in our community yesterday. A friend had her wallet stolen and somebody had gotten a ticket in her name because they were using her license. And I mean, stuff happens, and it happens right here in our community. And you don't want to think that it will, but that's a lot of great advice. I appreciate you guys sharing this. This is important for our small businesses. And I think my question would be, what's the best piece of advice? Like when you say talk to your banker, you know, should they be doing like an annual eval of their accounts, or, you know, trying to figure out what would be the best way for them to go about doing that?
So, Diane, that is a great question, and it's something that that we work on with our business clients every day. If you're not meeting with your banker annually or semi-annually, depending on the volume that you see in your business, to assess, am I in the right product still? Are there any additional services that my bank can offer because I know that I'm getting the best customer service from them? You know, just looking, what types of transactions are you seeing differently? Asking what's new in the banking world? What else can you offer to me as my banker? We recommend meeting with your banker at least once annually to discuss what's going on in the accounts, just to see what else is out there, what am I not picking up on, and what could I be utilizing my banker for, who knows my business in and out, who's gotten to know me and how I do business and how I like things done, just to check in. We do those informally, and then we also have the formal sit down where we sit and go through several months worth of statements where we're offering other business solutions. So I would say annually at the very minimum.
Okay. That's good info. Very good info.
Hey, I just to continue with that part of it, I would recommend that as well. At a minimum annual, there's, banks are constantly coming out with, new account plans, new services, enhanced services, different pricing. And, this gives us that opportunity to relay that information to you, the client, and make sure we're giving you the best possible service we can at the lowest possible cost. You have the protection that you need in place, and you're utilizing and maximizing the features that we have available. So, definitely, accept those invites or invites that your bankers are calling to discuss some of these things. And, as we talked about with the fraud and, combating really having a bad experience if a fraudulent transaction is going to happen, is that these are proactive measures to take instead of a reactive. If fraud happened, well, what do I do now? And that's a conversation that your banker can have as well. What is it like to go through a fraud dispute? And, as we mentioned here in this information, there is a small window of time frame to dispute fraudulent transactions. And, this is information we want to educate our businesses and make them aware of these things, that we can prevent this and avoid having to go through a situation like that.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna refer to being proactive instead of reactive, and that's it's a very important practice in the business world. So you guys have really covered it. I mean, I really don't think that there's any additional questions because you did such a great job.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so unless anybody else has anything, I think we'll just wrap up by saying you can contact myself, Adam Mark, Jeff Garsko, Susan Reagan. That's been our team working together over the last several months on COVID-related stuff, but also just in general, these are your support services for small business. But don't leave out of that something that Morgan reminds me of a lot, your banker, because it is very, very important, that relationship. So I think that's it for our topics at 12 today. Thank you all so much for being here. It was a wonderful session, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.